Hello, my friends, and welcome to another episode of Coffee with Carl. This is number 80. We're starting to kind of round the corner on 100 here, which is pretty crazy if you think about it, especially for a series and all that began with me having nothing to talk about. And I was like, I got to do something. And I had a whole bunch of flannels that I had ordered for that flannel roundup that year. And I said, what the hell? Let's just unbox them on camera. And to my surprise, people really liked it. It was cool, and we've been keeping it going ever since with some gaps here and there. And that leads me to my next talking point, which was, I kind of started off last episode with an apology for being so absent and just not really putting much effort into this channel, if I'm honest. And I was overwhelmed with the responses, which were incredibly supportive. I don't think you usually see that type of positivity and support within a community. And me being the guy who's on camera, that really means the world. And so, if you missed last episode or whatever, I was talking about how, we went through the summer and we had a heck of a summer. We did a lot of fun things as a family, did a lot of stuff around here to the house. And I just didn't have the time to dedicate to this channel that I would have liked to. I would rather not do it at all than to really half-ass it. And I know the whole point of this is to be a low-key kind of, very unedited, open kind of format. So really, how much time could it take, Carl, right? I mean, it's an hour or two at the least, so, I have to film it. I have to prepare for it. I look at the new things that are coming out and then I film it, which usually takes somewhere around an hour. And then to edit it, you have to go through the entire thing again. And it's like, a couple hours, 2-3 hours out of the week, that's quite a bit. When I consider that, I have a daily workout of like 35 to 40 minutes because that's the time that I have between when I get home and I have to go pick up the kids. 2 or 3 hours is that time, combined. So all that to say that this is something that it takes time out of my life. And it's a worthwhile cause, but sometimes when I don't have that time, it's just impossible to give, right? So, for example, I don't know about you, but our weekends are usually broken down into two sort of loosely defined categories. The first is housework and stuff that needs to be done around here. We usually take whichever day is the worst of the two. If it's going to rain one day or be crappy or whatever, that'll be the day that we do stuff around here and, the chores. This next day is really just family. We're going to do something with the family and we're either going to go to, we have a great spot over on this wonderful little lake called Winding Trails, which we're a member of, and you can go down to the beach and it's a little slice of heaven. One day I will take you out there and show you around because it's unbelievable. So usually we'll go there or something. We'll do something as a family. So sometimes that just leaves very little time to do something like this. The winter changes things. And I don't want to go over everything I went through in the last one because, you've already heard this before. But it just changes because the weekends, you're limited on what you can do. So a lot of time indoors, which I like. It's a bit of a hibernation period and kind of a time to reset. I enjoy that time of year and I'm looking forward to it. So I'm hoping that we can get back into a normal cadence of hopefully one per week. And I'm also going to try to not let it be held up by lack of things coming out. Now, luckily this time of year and getting into the holiday season, this is when companies will release their product. And I gotta say, having the experience that I have now with the cycles of product releases and having a little bit of insight to the way companies work, it's pretty incredible. I never realized before as a consumer that there were cycles and there were planned, some of these bigger companies that I've been privy to their inside workings, they're planning 2-3 years ahead. So they know what they're releasing in winter of 2028. And it's like, it's just crazy because they have to scale up to that point. Whereas smaller companies like Heat Straps can say, hey, what do you want to do next month? They're nimble and they can do things very quickly. So, but almost all of the companies start ratcheting up their marketing efforts, their ad spend this time of year. And they'll carry that through into the holidays and then it'll dip back down. And interestingly enough, my views graph here on YouTube does the same thing. Now it starts to go up and then it peaks somewhere around I want to say late November, and then it slowly goes back down. Ultimately is a low around May or June, right? Most people are outside. Most people aren't thinking about buying stuff. And so nobody's spending the time inside. A lot of people aren't watching videos. They're just out living their life, which is what you should be doing. And then then the cycle continues. But I gotta tell you, the first time that happened to me, it scared the hell out of me because I thought, uh-oh, I had success and now it's gone. And luckily, I'm stubborn and stupid enough to just keep doing something despite all the data saying otherwise. And I saw the cycle repeat. And now, 10 years on, I can say with confidence that it is a cyclical thing. But it'll scare the hell out of you the first time you see that cycle. Anyway, some things have come out this week that look promising, so let's jump into those now. First up is a collaboration between Heart and Wesco, and this is their 8-inch domain Job Master. Weird name, but Job Master. Now they're calling it the Journeyman, which, now if you're not familiar with the world of blue collar stuff, particularly electrical work, when you become a journeyman electrician, you are licensed. And at least it kind of changes depending on which state you're in, which is ridiculous because across the US, the power is pretty much the same. But you're an apprentice, then you become a journeyman. And then if you choose to, which some people don't, you could become a master electrician, which more or less is just another section of testing on taxes and how to run your own business. Because with an E1 master's license, you can pull your own permits and that kind of thing. Some people don't go for it because the renewal every year is just too much. But anyway, that's where that name comes from, at least in my world. Now, I'm sure the name Journeyman goes back probably before that, and it'd be interesting to see how much the history is behind that. But this is about the boot. So let's talk more about that. I gotta say, it's a good looking boot. I personally really like Wesco. I like the fact that they like whites, but to an even more degree, have stayed out of the bullshit. They have not gotten involved in the we're better than this, they're better than that. They just make boots. And even talking to Chris Warren, who's their, I think their general superintendent or shop, whatever, he's a good dude. Even he has said, look, I just want to make boots. I want to stay out of the limelight. We just want to make cool stuff and that's it. We don't want to get into the mudslinging. And you see a lot of that, unfortunately, especially, back a few years ago between like JK and Nix and, there's just this kind of bad blood, which I found kind of off-putting, to be honest with you, because it was kind of juvenile. But anyway, I've always liked Wesco. I always really liked their Job Master, and I got to tell you that one of my most worn boots this year has been the Mr. Lou. Throwing that thing on in the morning is just like second nature at this point. It's wonderful. Great boot, wonderful CwC on it. I don't see why the vitriol is out there, and I think I do know why. I think there was a few misleading bits of media that really were unfair to Wesco. Now, that being said, I'll always support them as long as they keep doing the right thing, and I think this is a great looking boot. Now, it's very expensive. This is $793 for a boot that is very based on work boots. And so the Job Master in general is just a really cool design. I've always loved because I think you can do it with a couple of different stitching details and color combinations here. The one that I got was very similar to this, where they used two different colors of thread, and I love that. I think the white with the black or whatever it is, maybe it's a cream kind of color, but whatever it is, that on the black looks dynamite. And something about the arch, I mean, there's just so much to love about the Job Master. And so they've carried that over here. I don't really know. Let's look a little bit more at the details. Maybe that'll reveal some more before I kind of tell you my opinion on this. So this is the 8-inch lace to toe, British tan domain custom Job Master, Raptor malt soles. Wow, that's cool sounding. I've never heard of that before. Lightweight brown upper stitching, white nylon outsole stitching, heavy white upper stitching, leather inserts. It says here this is cowhide, domain cowhide. One of the most widely used leathers, offering a balance with durability and flexibility, has a slightly looser grain than horsehide. Okay. For a cowhide boot, that's a lot of money. Now, if you go over to Baker's Boots, the Wesco Custom Job Master starts at $519. And now you're adding onto that, round about what, $300, right? To get to $800. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of upgrades. And so if you want this exact thing with, an Ironheart collaboration, cool. But that's just too much money in my opinion. I think that the way to go is if you like this, and this is like very, I should probably be selling this thing, right? Like, cause then I get, commission and all that, but no, go with Baker's, cause like you get it way cheaper and you can get exactly what you want. I wonder what this I should do my homework and really show you, but I wonder what this makeup right here would be on the custom boot builder thing. Cause again, there's not really anything too different here that you couldn't make yourself. So collaborations, I gotta tell you, I'm getting tired of seeing them. I'm getting tired of doing them. They are just so played out at this point. And yeah, they're a great way to make some money, but there needs to be a why behind a collaboration, in my opinion. And this I don't see as much more than Ironheart needing to offer a boot and using a long-running relationship that they already have. So this is one I would skip. And I hate saying that from two companies, Ironheart and Wesco, that I really like. UES has come up with a number of different flannels this year. Now, this is a company, I gotta kind of preface this before you get a little shocked if you've never seen these things before. When I was looking for a great Japanese, full of character, interesting flannel that wasn't an Ironheart or a Flathead or something like that, I came across UES. I think probably one of you recommended it because you guys are way smarter than I am. And this flannel, the UES that I bought, has become one of my most worn ones because the cut on it is also a little more Western. So it gives you a little bit more room, especially in the sleeves, which the Ironheart ones, man, I don't know. I mean, I put my arms in, and like I've said before, I got stubby arms. Put my arms in there and it's like, I can't even bend it. This is a little bit more generously cut. And you still pay a lot. I mean, they're expensive and a lot of people won't spend over $200 for a flannel. They've called me all kinds of names for even recommending it. But I think that if you like this kind of thing, it's hard to do better. Now, as I mentioned, there's several different colorways, but the one that I really like here is the UES 502-554 Slubby Flannel shirt in red. They're just calling it red. I wouldn't call that red. If somebody asked me what color that shirt is, I'd say it's a very cool looking slubby greenish red kind of thing. I wouldn't say that's a red shirt, but I digress. I think that the colors that they've done here are bold, interesting. It looks to me like this is either a dark blue, possibly a black, a red, green, and then maybe an off-white. And the slubby texture kind of running through the different, the tartan pattern there just makes for something that I think is really cool and very interesting, very unique. This is $245. Which is a lot of money. There's no doubt about it. That's a lot of money for a shirt. But considering that Ironheart now, I forgot what they're getting for. They used to be $360, but I think they had to up the price. And then with tariffs and all that stuff, holy crap, now it's starting to look a little bit better. You know what I mean? So this is one that I think you might see in this year's flannel roundup because the more I look at it, the more I like it. And, who doesn't need another flannel in their wardrobe? Speaking of cool shirts, it's pretty rare that you see a shirt made out of tweed. Now, tweed is not a material. Okay, it is kind of a material. How do I differentiate tweed? I don't know. I really got to look back in like my fabric library or whatever, but tweed is just very interesting. Tweed, we all know as that very hard-wearing fabric that you probably see a lot of in the thrift store because it just doesn't seem to wear out, and there's a reason. I mean, it's one of my favorite fabrics, especially Harris tweed, which is just a fascinating history and just very, very cool stuff. Well, you don't normally see shirts made out of this material, but that's what we have here between a Division Road and Freenote Cloth collaboration. Again, I apologize for the collaboration thing here, but when they're good, right? This is the Benson in Abraham Moon Shetland Estate tweed, and the color is navy check. These are $435. Woo! Okay, but it's made in a limited, specially sourced Abraham Moon 14-ounce Shetland Estate tweed using premium 100% British wool. And so if you know anything about wool shirts, right? you know they're expensive. Wool isn't expensive. I mean, wool typically is 2 to 3 times the price of cotton just as a raw material. All the properties of wool, I feel like a broken record going into, but it just wears a lot more. A fiber of wool can bend, I think, about 20,000 times without breaking. A cotton fiber is about 2,000 times, so it's a lot stronger as well. Wool is incredible. I mean, I've featured jackets, shirts, matter of fact, wool shirts like the one from Duckworth, which is $600+ on this channel. $400 isn't looking too bad now. Now, it might sound like I'm trying to justify it, and I am, because I really am having a hard time going, I don't need that. The Freenote Cloth tops don't tend to fit me very well, so I'll probably, steer away from these. But I love the idea here. I love that this is like a specially sourced wool, and it's very different looking. It's also classic and timeless. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money for something. And I think they come in 2 different colors, if I'm not mistaken. There are 2 different colors of this. So if you don't like that blue, you're not locked into it. And I would definitely check the fit chart on something like this. Just make sure your sizing is spot on. But ooh, it's looking good. And there was a shirt a long time ago that was from, have you ever heard of Black Bear brand? This is a brand that I just never understood. There's a few collabs with Wesco. Oh boy, wow, deja vu. They did a couple collaborations with Wesco. It just seems like there's like one guy behind it who is, I'm not sure what his deal is, but I've never seen anybody actually buy or wear that stuff. And I remember he had it was a Harris tweed shirt a while back, and it was just like outlandishly expensive. And I was like, oh wow, I saw the shirt, and I was like, that looks really nice. And I remember clicking on it and be like, no way am I buying that. And I didn't. But anyway, this looks similar to that, but in a much more affordable, offering. And the cool thing is that Freenote has been around for a long time, so there's some history there. You know that you're going to get some of those cool buttons that have Freenote cloth around the coin edge, and you're gonna know what the fit is if you have a Benson shirt of your own. So this is a safer bet in my opinion, and I wish I could try it on because, man, I am tempted. Now, very rarely do I talk about a product that I actually have on hand, but I do. Now, Carhartt is celebrating their 50th anniversary of the Active Jack. I believe I spoke about this last week. I went ahead and ordered all of them, like the weirdo that I am, and this here is the Active Jack. It's called the Montana. Now, in the past, this has been known as a couple of different things. I think it's called the Southwestern print or something like that, and they used to have a lot of these in different colorways. The secondhand market goes crazy for these things. You can't even see it there, can you? I'm looking at it. You can't see it. This print that's going around here. I gotta tell you this much. I think Carhartt really did a great job on their 50th anniversary jackets. They just, all the details are there that you want, My mouth is getting a little dry. Hang on a second. Time to pop a Polar. So what I really like about this one is, number one, they didn't skimp on the insulation. This is a level 3 of their warmth rating, which goes up to a total or a maximum of 4, not a total of 4. So it has their fleece, the kind of fleeced insulation here. If you know what I'm talking about, this is the best way I can describe it. It's not that slippery nylon; it's the softer fleece, but it's also pretty thick. So this will be very warm. Now, the thing that obviously makes this different is that print there. And this print that goes around is embroidered. It's not just printed onto the jacket. It's not just a piece of fabric that they've sewn on there. This is sewn beneath the washed, I think this is the washed duck, if I remember correctly. I think it's in the name too, so I should probably know. But it's actually integrated into the garment itself, so it's a part of it. And this is an original design by Bethany Yellowtail, who is an indigenous artist. And it's just, I can see why these were so popular. The colors match perfectly. They offset one another beautifully. So they have if you look within this, and I'll get some closer shots of this because I have it on hand and I can show you. But if you look at it, the colors that are here, it's a black backdrop. And then they have this same turquoise of the actual shell material. I mean, it's identical too. I mean, they didn't just approximate it. They got it spot on. Then they have a white, a yellow, and then sort of an orangey yellow as well. And those just offset perfectly. Those are sort of opposites on the color wheel. So it's the contrast here is really, really nice. And then it's done in this print, which just kind of loops around the entire garment, including the sleeves. And interestingly, with this, the layout of it is, if you're a nerd like me and you like the history of things, this is the old school active jack, okay? So what I mean by that is that the front pouch was almost like a kangaroo pouch on a hoodie, but it's obviously down the middle. There's a zipper. They have that, but the inside of it is fleece lined, so you get a little bit of extra warmth there. So it's not just unlined, which is nice. So you put your hands in there and they'll stay warm. They have a leatherette patch on the front here, which is, I haven't seen a leatherette patch for years. I'm not even sure they offered it, but here it is again, reminding me I love the leatherette patch. The sleeves on the new one they come down all the way, and then they have a Cordura reinforcement. The old school ones were like this with the rib knit. And this is, this is just the old school look, because this is like the classic active jack. One of the other details about this that's kind of retro is the external drawstring, whereas on most of the modern Carhartt jackets, this is internal for safety. And the keeper is right there inside of the hood, so you don't have to worry about losing anything on the outside. You just pull it, and it's there, and you want to let it go, you just squeeze that little section right there. So this really, what all those things tell us is that this is really meant for kind of the nostalgia style crowd. Nobody's gonna buy this to go and put it to work. So those details, like the safety of the external drawstring and stuff like that, really don't matter. So somebody who's wearing this casually isn't gonna care about Cordura cuffs, right? Because they're not like going into the job site. I mean, you could if you want to, but most people probably won't. So they've identified that this sort of sits in this spot between people who like this look and maybe are, shopping the secondhand market where these things were going crazy, and people who, want that sort of durability of an everyday Carhartt jacket. So I think they really did a great job. I think this one and the denim one are the two best ones. I have the wax one on order, but it's not here yet. But I wanted to talk about this one in particular because this one seemed to be the one that was the most popular and flew off the shelves. Matter of fact, I see these now on eBay for $300, $330, whereas originally I think they were $180. So I'm not sure if they're sold out everywhere or if resellers are just going crazy, but there's already people who are trying to sell them, which is kind of unfortunate. I mean, I don't like that type of thing where, they'll rely on scarcity to go ahead and jack up the price. Now, last week I mentioned not having a 10th anniversary kind of get together like I originally thought. I gotta tell you, the beginning concept of that was like having a big old thing, right? Like inviting people like Gabbard and like these small makers and stuff to just sort of come together and be among viewers and all that. And then just logistically, it sounded like a nightmare and something I just didn't have time to do and could really just be a pain in the neck. So I abandoned the whole idea. It went from like this big thing, you always got to think big, right? Like blue sky thinking. And then narrowing it down until I got to the bottom where I finally said, I'm not going to do this, and I'm not. So there is, though, a little bit of a bright side, okay? So Thursday have invited me to go to one of their stores in Soho, New York, and just kind of hang out and be there. And we're going to talk about the Brawler. They have a couple of cutaways of the Brawler so you can see the inside, and then they'll be available to try on and, for purchase if you'd like. But the idea is that we're going to be able to hang out and meet and talk face to face. And like, I'm literally just going to go there and just hang around, so if people want to chat, cool. It makes me a little nervous just because you don't know who's going to show up, right? That's anywhere. I mean, you could be on the subway in New York City and crazy things happen as we've seen. But whatever, you can't live your life in fear. So, a lot of people are going to be there. Albert's going to be there as well. So this, if you live within the tri-state area and it's not too much of a burden to come down, I would love to see you. And it'd be really cool to finally meet face to face. Now the details for this enchanted evening, it is on October 9th, 2025 at 6 p.m. And then I guess we'll just go to closing or whatever. The location is 45 Crosby Street in New York. Again, that's the Soho part of New York City, which means south of Houston. I didn't know that. Did you know that? No, you didn't. Stop. You're lying. But anyway, at the Thursday Boot store down there. So that'll be a cool thing to do, and it'll be fun to sort of see people and be able to shake hands and chat boots and you know, show you kind of what we've made. And it's not formal. It's going to be just kind of a hang, which is really cool. So I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. And if you're around, pop in. I'd love to see you. All right, that's it. That's number 80 in the books. I mean, I have a Polar here rather than, I mean, you know, it's seltzer. Who gives a damn what it's called? I'll drink Stop and Shop brand rather than coffee. But, you know, seltzer with Carl just doesn't have the same ring. And I don't know about you, but like when I find my threshold with coffee, I'm just done. Like I can't drink it all day. My dad, who used to own a print shop, he's passed away, but he used to drink like a pot of coffee a day. You know, and this is before Keurig, of course. So like they would have the big pot there, and he would just all day. And I mean, probably just, I mean, it's a drug, right? Caffeine keeps you from getting tired, and you know, to do these print jobs or whatever, he's just caffeined up. And I remember he would come home and crash. Or he would come home and he would lay on the couch, take a nap, wake up, have dinner, and then he'd go to bed. And it was just like that was his life. Pretty rough, but anyway, yeah, so that's why I don't drink too much coffee, because you asked, right? I mean, you see what happens? You see what happens when you're by yourself with a camera for long enough? You start like asking yourself questions, and it takes a little bit of weirdo to be able to chat to a camera for an hour, but here we are. All right, we're gonna go to the patrons only segment right now, but for the rest of you, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll catch you next time.